moment. Before now, the Nigerian civil service has been allegedly regarded as a workplace where workers indulge in indolence and nepotism. This perception is, however, changing with the commencement of the Federal Civil Service Strategy and Implementation Plan 2021 to 2025, focused on rewarding competence and skills. Now, the Ministry of Justice also commenced training of its directors on implementing the needed reforms for improved performance at work.
Current Annual Performance Evaluation Report, APA. The federal government adopted the new performance management system, which is called also the Employee Performance Appraisal System for the Nigerian Public Service. The merits of the PMS include reward for work done, objectivity in appraisal over a long period.
We're focusing on skills, knowledge that is required, not presenteeism and not longevity. It's going to be a bitter pill to swallow. Because what we're saying is, the fact that you spend 30 years in service does not automatically guarantee you this position, except you have added value as you're moving up the ladder.
This ministry has established a performance criteria category table to evaluate each worker's output. The Nigerian Police Force has described as false the report that the Federal Capital Territory was being saturated with bombs. A statement by the Force Public Relations Officer Olumuyiwa Adejobi warns against spreading falsehood as it will not do the country any good. CSP Adejobi reiterates that the Federal Capital Territory is safe and there is no imminent threat. Neither is the FCT being saturated with bombs as speculated. The PRO therefore urged residents of the FCT and Nigerians at large to disregard this fake news, which was purportedly sponsored to create fear and heat up the polity. Securing Nigeria by reducing crimes to the barest minimum is the topmost priority of the Nigerian police force, and this can be achieved by partnering with other stakeholders and provision of necessary tools. The Inspector General of Police, Alkali Usman Baba, made this known when he inaugurated an anti-bomb police station and a barrack at Abuja, Delta State. Rosemary Omani reports.
I commissioned this police station. God help us.
Those are the official inauguration of the two edifices, the anti-bomb modern police station and the officers' barrack, both inside Abuja police station in Oshimile North local government area. The project, designed personally by the IJP, is one of the 120 modern police stations approved by him across the country. The police station is equipped with CCTV cameras, solar power installation, among others.
We need to protect it. We need to take ownership of it so that the police will be able to maintain it.
It will interest you all to know that today our father, the IGP, has wiped away part of our tears, which is why we are all here to celebrate.
IGP seized the opportunity to address the issue of America's security alert on Abuja, guaranteeing residents of their security. In Abuja, I am Rosemary Omani, NTA News.
The standing elections as a contest will guide electorates and contestants to play the game according to the rules and guidelines for a successful process. Correspondent Oyeyinka Omole in this report examines voters' education in the electoral process as the 2023 general elections approaches.
Achieving violence-free political campaign, voting rightly, and guiding against electoral malpractices like vote buying remain part of critical issues for major players in the electoral process.
The new guidelines now out, and one major aspect of the guideline is that we must shun violence. As voters, we must vote rightly. Because we have discovered over time there have been so many voided votes. And to vote rightly depends on proper education. And that's why the issue of political education is demanded and required. It's almost by compulsion. If you know you want your votes to count,
it is believed that past elections in the country have been improved upon by the electoral umpire. Stakeholders believe that voter education has to be intensified.
There should be also massive civic education, particularly on the media, both electronics and print. Also on the social media, because there's quite a lot of misinformation, wrong messages on the social media. So there should be an effort towards reaching out. There we also appeal to the political parties. They should also remember that one of their cardinal functions is to educate, sensitize, and mobilize the citizens. I think they should do the needful.
They also suggested adhering to issue-based campaigns guided by conscience to avoid heating up the polity. In Ibadan, Oyeyinka Omole, NTA News.
We now pause for some messages. Panorama continues shortly, and our guest will be in the studio after the break. Stay with us.
The vaccine offers hope for a safe country free of coronavirus. I urge all state governments, traditional and religious leaders to take the lead in the mobilization effort within their environment and spheres of influence. I similarly urge all eligible Nigerians to present themselves and be vaccinated in accordance with the order of priority already mapped out at the various authorized designated centers only.
You're welcome back. Joining me in the studio is Rosemary Alaba Adeni, Head Voter Education, Publicity and Civil Society and Gender Department, Independent Electoral Commission, INEC, Oyo State. Welcome to Panorama.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you, viewers at home. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Now, as the nation prepares for the 2023 general elections, what are the issues of interest on voters' education?
Voter education basically is to educate and inform the voters on their responsibilities before, during, and after the elections. Those are the basic things that they need to know, especially during the elections and after the elections, their responsibility, basically.
Okay.
Yes.
What is expected of the electorate at this stage of preparation for the elections?
What is expected of the electorate is, first of all, to make sure that they have their PVCs at hand. They should make sure they collect their PVCs at hand. Those people that have their PVCs already, they should always take care of their PVC and they should not sell their PVCs. They should also know that the elections come 2023, on the election day, the election will start at 8:30 a.m. and stop at 2:30 p.m. That is to say that all those people who are on the queue by 2:30 p.m., they will be attended to, even if it takes them till 6 p.m. in the evening. But 2:30 p.m., the queue will be stopped. People will not be allowed to enter the queue anymore.
Okay.
They should also know that they should know the party logo that they are supposed to vote for. They should be conversant with the party logos. They should know by now that this is the party I want to vote for, this is the candidate I want to vote for, and this is the party he or she belongs to. And they should be able to thumbprint the ballot paper in the actual box that they are supposed to, in the appropriate place. They should not allow their fingerprint to smear to another party, so that their votes will not be voided. And they should also make sure that they obey rules and regulations when they get to the polling units. They should obey what the poll officials tells them to do. And after voting, because immediately after you come for the voting, you'll be accredited, and at the same time you'll be given your ballot paper to vote immediately. And after voting, you may choose to go back home, or you may choose to stay 300 meters away from the polling unit
to protect their votes.
Beautiful. And you can always watch your vote also, like we've said before. The Beavers is the game changer in this coming elections. After voting, you will stay there, or you watch as your vote is coming in.
Okay. Now, let's talking about the PVC. What at this stage, what is the fate of those that are registered but are yet to collect their PVC?
Those that are yet to collect their PVCs, especially those who registered between July last year, between January to July this year, their cards will be ready in November. They will be able to collect their PVCs in November. But those people who registered between June to December last year, their cards are already ready in our offices. And to give you another insight into what is happening now, you will find out that INEC will start the voter, we will begin a program on the 12th of November. We will begin the displaying of voters register in each polling unit, so everybody can go to view their status on the voters register. And also, if they have complaints or claims and objection, they can always bring it forward. Also, the cards, the PVCs will be taken to the registration areas during that period. We will make announcements when that time comes.
Thank you very much.
So they can always collect their PVCs.
Because of our time, as campaign continues, what is expected of the electorates, politicians, and other stakeholders?
During campaign, the politicians should make sure that their campaigns are issue-based. They should make sure that they tell the populace what they want, what they are given the society. They should not use toggery, they should not use masquerade, they should not use public places like the police station, like the offices, like churches, like mosque. They should not use those places, but they should go to places like mosque, like town halls, and so on. They can do their campaigns there. Open spaces. They can do their campaign there. It should be issue based.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I've been speaking with Rosemary Alabadeni, Head Voter Education, Publicity and Civil Society and Gender Department, INEC, Oyo State. Thank you very much for coming on Panorama.
Thank you.
Moving ahead, Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has expressed gratitude once again on behalf of the people and the government of Oyo State to President Muhammadu Buhari on the elevation of Justice Oluwa Kayode Ariwola as the Chief Justice of Nigeria. This was at a reception put together by the Oyo State government to host Justice Ariwola, who hails from Iseyin in Oyo State. Ayomiku Ajibola reports that eminent jurists, including those of the Supreme Court, attended the reception.
It was a well-deserved homecoming for the newly sworn-in Chief Justice of Nigeria, Olukayode Ariwola, as it was hosted by State Governor Seyi Makinde. Describing Justice Olukayode Ariwola's elevation and sworn in as the Chief Justice of Nigeria by President Muhammadu Buhari as a deserving development and reward for diligence, patriotism, and service to the nation. Governor Seyi Makinde said he has no doubt that the Isheyin-born jurist will restore the glory of the apex courts and the judiciary.
At the beginning of many certain things that will be happening in Oyo State.
Please, our advice for you to look going to do great things and make all of you proud of him.
His part, Chief Justice of Nigeria, Olukayode Ariwola, while assuring that the judiciary will continue to perform optimally, urged Nigerians, especially political class, to allow the judiciary perform its duty without unnecessary pressure.
And we shall not let down Nigerians.
In attendance at the reception were Supreme Court judges, that of the Appeal Court, High Court, including 4 state governors, among others, in Ibadan, Ayomiku, Ajibola, and NTA.
The Kwara State Command of the Federal Road Safety Corps has flagged off its Ember Month campaign with a charge on road users to be safety conscious at all times. The campaign is aimed at sensitizing the public to be extra careful at this period when road crashes are usually on the increase due to high volume of vehicular movements across the country. Raliat Ibrahim reports.
That was the official flag off of the Ember Months and road walk for the 2022 FRSC campaign. The theme for this year's campaign is avoid speeding, overloading, and unsafe tires to arrive alive. The message of the Federal Road Safety Corps is to inform the public that the road has no problem. It is the people's attitude and mindset that cause accidents. The increase in road traffic crash is, however, more pronounced towards the end of the year due to festivities and increased vehicular movement.
That you bought a new tire is not also a guarantee that that tire is safe. The storage of tire is very, very important to how safe that tire is. Unfortunately, in this line, we do not store tire appropriately.
Recklessness on the part of some motorists and unsafe night trips have claimed over 30 lives within the first week of the last quarter of this year.
Stakeholders pledged to play their part as road safety, they noted, is everyone's business. The key message of this year's Ember Month campaign is for drivers to check their vehicle before leaving home, drive responsibly, avoid overloading in parks, and not to drink while driving, with the reminder that life has no spare. Raliat Ibrahim, NTA News.
Similarly, the Federal Road Safety Corps has advised motorists and road users blind Shagamu Ijebu-Ode access to be cautious and abide by traffic rules and regulations. The unit commander of Ijebu-Ode Command, ACC Joel Odewoye, gave the advice during the flag-off of 2022 Ember Months campaign at Ijebu-Ode. Correspondent Bumioni has the report.
In order to achieve zero road crash and fatality rates in the Ember Month and beyond, the Federal Road Safety Corps Arrest 221 Ijebu-Ode Command, in its usual norm, organized its annual sensitization event, Ember Month campaign and mega rally for this year with the theme Avoid Speeding, Overloading, and Unsafe Tires to Arrive Alive. Assistant Corps Commander Joel Odewoye urged motorists to try as much as possible to avoid some of the human errors on the highways.
It is so germane for us to make sure that we come and tell people, because they believe that December period, Ember Month, September, October, November, and December is a rush hour.
Some of the representatives of the transport unions also urged government to put some palliative measures in place on the Shagamu-Ijebu-Ode highway, while they promised to collaborate with the Federal Road Safety Corps to achieve the objectives of the Ember Month campaign.
This program is a program that they should be doing probably every month. It's very, very important.
Are using a new tire, and a new tire cannot spend more than 2 months before it bursts because of unmotorable road.
There was free medical test for people present at the event. In Ijebu-Ode, Bumi, Olu, NTA.
Let's now join our sport decks for the latest from the world of sports.
We begin with football as head coach of the Nigerians Flamingo, Bankole Oluwokere, says the team will seek to end their campaign at the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup in India on a high as they take on Germany for the bronze medal games Sunday. The final between Colombia and Spain also comes up later today. After the impressive outing against Junior Taifa Stars of Tanzania, Coach Salisu Yusuf said the Olympic Eagles will continue to develop into a compact squad. The Olympic Eagles on Saturday in Ibadan defeated Tanzania 2-0 to qualify for the final round on 3-1 aggregate.
That much fitness, because you know there's no league in Nigeria, and you have to build the players' conditioning to be at the topmost level so that they can be able to play the match in a better condition. But I believe the team will continue to develop.
We all believe we can do it. You know, the coach made us to understand how important this game is. You know, and he put into each and every one of us the desire to win.
Nigeria will host either Uganda or Guinea in the final round of the Under-23 AFCON qualifiers. In the English Premier League, 2 games will be decided Sunday as Arsenal look to return to the top of the table when they play host to Nottingham Forest, while Manchester United welcome West Ham United at Old Trafford. And finally to boxing, where Highlands Katie Taylor retained her IBF, WBA, WBC and WBO World Lightweight title with a comprehensive point win against Karen Elizabeth Karabaya. Taylor, who is returning to the ring for the first time since a split decision win over Puerto Rico's Amanda Serrano in April, won the fight 100-91, 99-91 and 98-92. The 2012 London Olympic gold medalist remains unbeaten in 22 professional fights. With sports updates, Oche Ngbedi, NTA News.
Visit on Panorama from Ibadan Network Center. Remember, connect with NTA, be a star, stand against rape and rapists. I am Larry Du. Enjoy the rest of your day.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
We all have stories to tell.
Small boy kicked me to open fire, so I said, okay, you can cut the right hand. So that's what how my right hand was cut off.
He's working with Clushy with which here that it was that guy. No, he's not an ordinary eye. No, he's not an eye. Do you use marry his wife?
It all depends on how I handle my story and how you're able to handle your own story.
It is what you decide in your mind that determines you, not your situation.
I don't hear well. But what I'm saying is, We are better together.
Dushman Lucy Pius in therapy.
Welcome to Against All Odds on the Nigerian Television Authority, a program that brings to your doorstep the lives of persons with disability.
Welcome to Africa, the land of ancient civilization.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said, and I quote, "We are sleepwalking to climate catastrophe in our globally connected world. No country and no cooperation can insulate itself from these levels of chaos." End of quote. Early this year, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency NIMET made public predictions warning of heavy rains and imminent flooding in many parts of the country. Recently, the agency again issued an alert that 22 states are prone to floods as a result of torrential rainfall. Over time, it has been identified that man-made factors contribute to a large extent the complexity of the problem of flooding. And so, on this edition of Frontiers, we shall be taking a look at this problem and ways it can be cured. My name is Obiageli Ugwoke, and our guest is the Director General and CEO of National Environmental Standards and Regulation Enforcement Agency, NISRA, Professor Aliyu Jauro. Professor Aliyu, you're welcome to Frontiers.
It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
We take an next step to set the tone for today's discussion. Please stay tuned.
The current humanitarian crisis being faced in the country as a result of flood has been described as the worst in decades. Intense rainfall, dam spilling, and overflowing of rivers were identified as the major factors responsible for the flood. And here is the Permanent Secretary, Minister for Humanitarian, Disaster Management and Social Development, highlighting measures taken to mitigate flood-related disasters.
We are very much aware of what is happening, and we are prepared to reduce the impact, and we are prepared also to make sure that those states that have not been affected yet, please get some relief.
On Lagdo Dam and its spilling, Dr. Gorozo said Nigeria and Cameroon had a memorandum of understanding on how the release of water from the dam would be done.
Necessary action is being taken, including bilateral talks almost on a daily basis. Beyond formal writing, we also have issues of communicating on telephone with them to make sure that things are coordinated.
He said NEMA has so far provided relief support to displaced persons across the flood disaster hotspots where state capacities have been overwhelmed.
Once more, Prof, you're welcome to Frontiers. Now, your agency's vision is to ensure a cleaner and healthier environment. In what ways is NISRA pursuing this mandate?
Well, NISRA is pursuing the mandate by ensuring that people adhere to the rules and regulations and also the guidelines. The mandate establishing the agency spell out what we are supposed to do. So we are to ensure that people adhere strictly to the laws, policies, guidelines to do with the environment. And in doing so, the Act establishing the agency mandated us to come up with regulations that we use day in, day out to regulate the activities taking place in the environment by either individuals or corporate bodies. So far, we have a total of 35 environmental regulations. The green environment is the natural environment, while the brown environment, we call it the built environment. This consists of industries that engage in production processes. You know, when you produce, you tend to pollute the environment. So we use those regulations to regulate in safeguarding the environment. We also engage with relevant stakeholders, both locally and internationally, to look at how to solve some of these environmental issues. We also engage internationally because Nigeria is a signatory to a lot of environmental agreements. So we ensure that we abide by some of these agreements that are signed by Nigeria.
All right, Prof, it has also been discovered that to a greater extent, disasters are linked to human action. Hence, the need for human beings to be environmental conscious. How would you rate the average human factors to this regard?
Well, environmental disasters can either be natural, as you have said, or can be man-made. But most of what we have now, most of them are man-made. So it's our action that the environment is fighting back what we do to the environment. So as human beings, for instance, we are talking about climate change. And this climate change is as a result of the rise in temperature. And this rise in temperature is as a result of what we call the global warming associated with the use of some of this fossil fuel, emission of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases that are mostly generated due to human activities. And we also cut down trees indiscriminately. These trees are there to serve as a carbon sink. They absorb the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. They serve as breaking barriers when there is a strong wind. And also, if you look, we build anyhow now. We block drainages, so when it rains, it easily causes a lot of flooding. And these are some of the brunt we receive as human beings due to our actions.
All right, Prof. You talked about human actions being one of the major contributing factor to these environmental issues. Now, what attitude do you think human beings should cultivate to help alleviate these issues?
The best attitudes for us to cultivate, first of all, we should realize that this earth, this world belongs to us. We don't have any other place to go. So we must always do the right thing in order to safeguard it. So we must cultivate good habit and attitude to ensure that we have a healthier and cleaner environment for us to live. For instance, one of the major issues has to do with sanitation and waste control. We all generate waste due to our activities we consume. So this waste, we must find a very good way of treating this waste. We shouldn't just dispose it indiscriminately. When we do that, for instance, it will block our drainages. And when it does that, the water trapped there would serve as a breeding ground for mosquitoes and other diseases like cholera, typhoid fever. They are all as a result of this bad behavior. So we must cultivate the right attitude. We ensure that we have a very clean environment. We must ensure that we don't just cut down our trees indiscriminately. We should engage in tree planting. And when it comes to all environmental laws and guidelines, we should ensure that we adhere strictly, we follow this. They are meant for us to safeguard our environment and to safeguard the human health.
In keeping with the environmental, your agency's mandates, which includes, among other things, compliance with set standards and the discipline violators, how much has Nigeria achieved, most especially in the area of prosecuting these violators?
We have achieved a lot. We have had a lot of prosecutions in the court of law, and we have had a lot of cases where industries were fined and individuals were also given the option of either a fine or a jail term. But most of these penalties are not stringent enough to serve as a deterrent. So that's why presently we are reviewing our regulations in order to have a more stringent penalties that will serve as a deterrent. Take an example. When you look at our regulation on sanitation and waste control, littering is prohibited. When you have a waste, you are not supposed to throw it anyhow. You are supposed to take it to a designated point at home. You should have a garbage collector where you can drop it. So, but you look at it, people tend to throw away anything they have.
Which is contributing to obstruction of the waterways.
So you look at the penalty there. If you are caught, the provision is that you will be fined 20,000 naira, or you will be jailed for a period of 6 months, or a combination of the two. So you can hardly find somebody that will not be able to pay the 20,000 naira. So it's not stringent enough. And also, if you look at it, we are not everywhere. So for us to keep an eye is a difficult task. So what is very, very important for people is to cultivate the habit voluntary compliance. You should know that if you do that, you are harming yourself. So don't try it. But at the same time, we are going to review most of the regulations and increase some of these fines. So we drive this power from our act. The act was amended in 2018, where previously the act establishing the agency most of the times places a ceiling on the level of fine or the jail term. But when it was reviewed in 2018, that ceiling was removed, giving the judge the leverage to impose a stiffer penalty. So that's why we are now trying to review the regulations.
All right, Prof, you just mentioned that the agency is not everywhere. So the best approach is cultivating the best habit towards preventive measures. Because I was going to ask you that we've seen, especially in rural areas, most times when it's raining, you see people coming out to dump refuges along the drainage line, and this keeps obstructing the waterways. So is the agency doing anything maybe in terms of enforcement or monitoring to keep their eyes on such rural areas?
We presently have offices in all the state capitals. So we are not in all these rural areas. And issues to do with environment is on the concurrent list of the 1999 Constitution. That means the federal and the state can legislate. So issues to do with sanitation and waste is almost solely within the purview of the states and the local government. They are those responsible for ensuring that this waste is collected and treated in the best way. So, but we work together, we synergize to see that we achieve our mandate. So once in a while we go to all these rural areas to engage with them and sensitize the general public, and we meet with the officers at the local government and the state level. And annually we have what we call as annual stakeholders forum, where we come together to discuss issues to do with environment and see how we ensure that people abide by all these rules or regulations guiding their conduct in the environment in order to ensure that we safeguard the environment.
All right, Prof, we'll pause for a while. The program is Frontiers, and we shall be back in just a moment. Stay tuned. You're welcome back. Prof, you're aware that NIMET issued a number of predictions and alerts recently concerning floods owing to heavy rainfall. Is there some sort of inter-agency collaboration between Israel and the National Emergency Management Agency to mitigate the impact of floods?
Yes, we always collaborate. Annually, we used to have the stakeholders meeting with the relevant agencies, not only NEMA. NEMA is key, NIMET, so NESTRA, and other agencies to come together and look at the predictions and how to go about taking measures, mitigations, other things. So each of these agencies has its own mandate. So we come together at times, some of these mandates can be cross-cutting. So to brainstorm and see what all of us can do in order to ensure that the impact of this floods that are predicted to happen does not affect the environment and the human health much. So in our own part, we have a regulation, National Environmental, Soil Erosion and Flood Control Regulations. So there are provisions there, One of them is people should not engage in any earth-disturbing activity that will lead to the soil erosion and also flooding. When you erode the soil, when you engage in it, most of these soils will be deposited in the waterways. There will be siltation. So when it rains, the water will not have a room to flow. And likewise, there is provision to do it adhering to building courts and the town planning activities. One shouldn't build on the waterways and the protection of the floodplains, and also not to disrupt some of these flood barriers. So the regulation has a lot of provisions that are in place to ensure that we mitigate some of these hazards associated with the flood. So we go out to see what we can do to ensure compliance. And presently, nationwide, our officers are out there trying to educate the general public, to sensitize them on what they can do in order to mitigate against some of these flooding issues.
All right, the intensity and the impact of flooding has also been linked in some states to building on waterways. Particularly in Kano, NEMA reported recently that about 225